A crippling winter storm is on the way. In this video, I'll break down the hardest hit areas for snow and where a significant ice storm could potentially develop. This storm is massive and it stretches from basically the panhandle of Texas all the way up through Maine almost, and this could be a storm that people could remember for decades. So let's start with the timeline. When the storm begins and when it finally leaves. So here we are, forecast hour 63 from now. Today is January 21st, 2026 at 1 p.m. roughly. So this is forecast hour 63 hours from now. This is for Friday, January 23rd at 21Z, which would be Eastern time, would be about 5 p.m. This has sleet starting to form near the Missouri and, the Arkansas and Louisiana state line, and even across the Texas area and Oklahoma as well. That ramps up pretty quick with some heavy snow developing across much of Tennessee and even into the Arkansas and Oklahoma area with some snow. The storm just continues chugging along up the coast and over to the eastern part of the United States, where it could potentially become a very dangerous situation for ice in North Carolina, Georgia as well, with very, very heavy snow impacting the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So for timing on this, at roughly Saturday at 15Z, which would be around 10 a.m., the snow will start becoming very heavy in the eastern Tennessee area, in the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina. It also starts becoming very, very heavy in most of northern North Carolina that night. So around like 11 p.m., 10 p.m., that snow starts getting heavy in North Carolina. Then it works its way up the coast, where we're talking very, very heavy snowfall, potentially for New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland, and even Virginia, Pennsylvania. The whole area really could see an excess of a foot of snow if this all goes perfectly like shown. This is the GFS model, but you'll see what I mean. The rain and snow line is very, very close to New Jersey and Delaware. It could get rain at first or sleet at first and then change over to snow, or it could be all snow the entire time. It just depends on where that line goes. But by around Sunday night, Sunday evening, that snow will be moving out of the Tennessee area. New Jersey will still be getting hit. Pennsylvania will still be getting hit. The Northeast will still be getting some pretty heavy snow. But all this snow should be off the coast by very early Monday morning or later the day, Monday morning, with some snow showers lingering around for areas like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York. The snow flurries just kind of won't go away for a few days until probably you'll have some flurries off the coast for until next Friday. Now let's get into snow totals, the way too early snow totals. First, let's start on the west and then move our way up with this storm as it goes up into the northeast. So we have lots of snow falling in New Mexico, potentially up to 1.5 feet in some parts of New Mexico, and then you get pretty decent snow in northern Texas, the panhandle of Texas as well. Potentially up to 1 foot in the panhandle, and then Oklahoma, you see a widespread swath of about 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snow across Arkansas as well. And then that'll eventually move into Tennessee. Now, eastern Tennessee is going to be the bullseye for Tennessee, especially in the mountains, where you could be talking about 1.5 feet. Now, near the Memphis area, we're looking at 8 to 10 inches probably, according to this model anyway. But the real bullseye would be in Virginia, where we are looking at potentially around 2 feet of snow. Very, very isolated. Let's get to it right here. So, yeah, right there where it pops up. So that's West Virginia. But either way, it's very, very significant snow totals here. Philadelphia could be cashing in on 1 foot. New York City, about the same. Johnson City, Tennessee, you're looking at 18 inches, which is 1.5 feet. So very, very widespread, large totals from this storm, according to the GFS. Potentially one of the biggest snowstorms we've seen in a long time. One to remember for many years, if not decades. Another significant issue I wanted to cover was the total freezing rain with this storm. Now, with this GFS model, we'll move on to the Euro model in just a minute, but with the GFS model, this is saying, parts of Alabama and especially near Atlanta, Georgia, like an inch and a half to 2 inches of ice. That's really significant. That is not something to take lightly. This could cause power outage for multiple days, in all honesty, and that's not to scare you. That's to prepare you. You want to be prepared for this storm. But inch and a half of ice is enough to bring down power lines and limbs on the trees and cause some significant damage. Even the half inch of ice all the way through eastern North Carolina up into parts of southern Virginia and most of South Carolina, and even the mountains of the North Carolina-Tennessee border, all going to see some pretty significant ice as well. Now remember, like I said, each model is different. This is now the European model we're looking at, and that's a huge difference, right? You know, Johnson City, you were just looking at a foot and a half of snow on the GFS. Now we're looking at 0.8 inches of snow. So what happened to all that snow? Well, it pushed all up to the north, right? So you still have plenty of snowfall across northern Kentucky with this model, 15 to 18 inches in some spots in northern Kentucky. And then that West Virginia bullseye is still there with about 2 feet of snow. So that seems to be agreement with the models, that there's going to be a 2-foot bullseye somewhere in West Virginia, maybe Virginia, could shift up to Pennsylvania because they're still pretty far out. We don't know exactly what's going to happen yet, but this is just guidance, pretty much, this far out. So as the days come along, we'll be able to get more info on what's going to happen, as, you know, things will still change. But with that being said, this European model is showing a foot and a half for Philadelphia, about the same for New York City, and then, you know, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, you're getting about 20 inches on this model with that 2-foot bullseye, if not, you know, 2.5 feet. Maybe isolated for a couple of towns here in West Virginia. Wouldn't be surprised if, you know, that storm can train over the spot for a little while and cause some major issues. Now here's our total freezing rain, which is our ice. This is our ice storm threat. This again is the European model. The other one we looked at earlier was the GFS. This lights up the board pretty much. So, you know, pretty much anywhere from the mountains of Tennessee down through northern Georgia, all the way up through central Virginia. You're talking about an inch to 2 inches of ice, which is freezing rain. Same thing can be said for southern Kentucky, all the way down through even Memphis area in Tennessee. And then as this storm moves up, mind you, where we're looking at up here in southern New Jersey, you're already talking about a foot and a half of snow. As that foot and a half of snow falls, when this shifts over, if it shifts over, you're getting a 1/4 inch of ice on top of what you already have on the snow. That's plenty enough to bring down power lines, plenty enough to bring down trees, and cause some disruptions in travel and daily life. One more thing I wanted to point out was the potential for significant whiteout conditions. We're not talking blizzard conditions because you have to have a certain sustained mile per hour wind for it to be considered a blizzard. However, looking at gusts potentially above 60 miles per hour in the mountains of Tennessee and the North Carolina area while this snow is falling, which would be if you're passing over if you're trying to go from North Carolina to Tennessee or vice versa, you're going to be driving through this wind. It's going to be pretty much zero visibility, snow falling very heavily, very treacherous terrain on top of the 60 mile per hour winds. That's just recipe for disaster pretty much. And one more thing I wanted to throw out there for the area up here in the mid-Atlantic where it could be changing from snow to freezing rain or potentially just rain. But the ground will be very, very cold and we'll have a deep freeze after that. So either way, it's going to be ice. But the reason why it could be a mixture of sleet or whatever it could be towards the end is because towards the end of the storm, we will have 700 millibar level temperatures around 5 degrees Celsius, which is above freezing. So that's not going to be able to cool that water droplet down. It'll still be above freezing, and it won't get freezing until it's almost at the surface, even if it does freeze by then. But that's why you have the freezing rain. If the ground is below 32, it'll freeze on contact. Pretty much a super cool drop. So that's pretty much all I have for today. I will be sure to update you guys in just a few days. If you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful, if I gave you information that's necessary, go ahead and leave a like and drop a comment down below and hit the subscribe button as well. It really helps me out and I'll make more content just like this for the future. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.